Hi, how you doing? For those of you that may not know me, that's weird, but I'm Brianna Beers, Brie to my friends, and I own the newly rebranded Brie Beers and Associates, formerly Ppp Beers and Associates. We help small businesses and individuals with tax prep and tax planning. Tax planning is our jam because it's where we get to strategize with our clients to minimize their annual tax burden and keep that extra cash to invest into themselves. So you could be watching this in a variety of places, YouTube, my Facebook community, maybe my Facebook page, but if it's not in our Facebook community, money, taxes, and finance, and you are a business owner, then you should definitely hop on over there and join that group. It's an amazing and supportive community. If you missed it, we are now Brie Beers and Associates, no longer Ppp Beers and Associates. We are the same great, small but mighty team, still the three of us, with a few contractors in the mix now helping as well. We just rebranded. We changed the name, we changed the logo, we added that pop of orange to the color palette, boom, new logo, new name, same awesome team. I've gotten a lot of inquiries this week about new clients, and we are taking on new clients, but if you are looking for 2019 tax prep, you'll need to file an extension and work with us after that. So I do actually have a training scheduled for Monday, July 6th, all about filing an extension, how to do it, all that jazz. And then we will resume our free new client consultations in August. All right, still with plenty of time before that October 15th personal extended deadline that's always in existence. So August is also going to open up our mid-year tax planning, so be on the lookout for that. Finally, for those of you that do tax planning with me, have done tax planning with us in prior years, we're usually starting to talk about that in like May and June, and we had to get through this tax season first. So August, be on the lookout for mid-year tax planning. Updates and Q&A. All right, I got a lot of good questions that came in this week, so we'll get to those. But I gotta start just by reminding you guys that there is still a lot of gray area when it comes to the PPP and even some of the EIDL, but mostly the PPP stuff, right? What I've gotten a lot of this week, and I know if Jamie's still watching, she has too, is a lot of, well, I heard this other CPA say this, or I got my CPA, my attorney, my brother, my uncle, whoever it is, told me XYZ, and you're telling me something different. Okay, well, I will tell you when I give you guys advice or I give you guys guidance here, I'll tell you straight out at the beginning if it's something that's actually legit in the documentation, right? And I caveat pretty much everything beforehand with there is no clear guidance or this is still gray, and then I give you my opinion. So remember that a lot of these are my opinion, and even the stuff that I may sound absolutely certain with, or even that I am certain with, not legal or tax advice, all right? It's my opinion, my guidance for you guys to use and just kind of go with, all right? That said, I do want to, Jamie made a really good point earlier this week when she did her live, and I just want to remind that to you guys. A lot of this comes with, a lot of the decisions you make on this, and you're going to hear me throughout this live talk about this, comes with, one, documentation is required, okay? Just keep documentation. And two, the decisions you make depend on your degree of risk, all right? If you are super conservative, there's a lot of things that I say that you're gonna be like, yeah, I don't want to do that. But if you're like, yeah, I'm not scared of an audit, I don't care. Wait, there it is. There's that hand. Then you know what? Some of the stuff I'm saying, you might go listen to those other really loose CPAs and take what they say instead. Teach their own. Just remember that it's all your risk tolerance. That's what it really comes down to. And that no matter what your risk tolerance is, you got to document the crap out of what you're doing here. All right. So the one that I have gotten probably 6 or 7 times in the last few weeks, and I feel like I might have answered this already, but I'm still getting this week, so I want to talk to you guys about it. Can I be on PUA, unemployment, and still get my PPP forgiven if I am paying myself with the Ppp loan? Again, there's no specific guidance, but here's what we think. Okay. Let's start with your 8 weeks. Those of you that have the 8-week period and have decided to keep the 8-week period for your PPP. All right, that 8-week period, based on what we know now, you need to claim the PPP income as earned income if it's required by your state. Okay, there are a lot of states that specifically ask, what was your, did you receive a PPP loan for what amount, this, that, and the other? What we are suggesting you guys do is call your state's unemployment department and ask. Again, I told you, the theme of the day was going to be document your calls or your call attempts. I know there are a lot of state agencies out there that people just can't get a hold of. So, but somewhere you guys need to document all of this. All right. I might suggest, have a folder where you have, call it COVID, call it whatever, but have all of your, have the PPP tracker that we've created in there that you're using, have the EIDL tracker in there that you're using if you have EIDL, and then have some sort of call log that shows when you're calling, when you're trying to get answers to all of these things. Okay, because should someone come back to you and tell you you did something wrong, you're going to have a leg to stand on if you say, no, I talked to this person on this date and they told me this. All right, and they're going to be a lot more, you're going to have a chance of winning an argument or an audit or anything like that if you have that documentation. And we're not talking, guys, like this, that this is necessarily going to happen, this year, right? This could be 3 years down the road that these departments or these agencies come back and are asking you to substantiate the claims you made. And you're not going to remember. You're going to remember that you spent hours upon hours on the phone, but you're not going to remember who you talked to, what they said, where did you get certain pieces of information, right? So make sure you're documenting all of this somewhere. That said, all of that applies whether, most of what I said is true for all of you. But if you're using the 24-week period, call your state. But if you can't get a hold of someone, here's how I'd handle it. I would take your unemployment through either the end of July, because that's when the additional $600 ends, or until your business starts ramping up, right? So maybe it starts ramping up in a few weeks and you're able to make, regular money again. Maybe it, for some reason, doesn't start ramping up till August or September and you have to stay on unemployment, even though you no longer get that additional federal guidance. Regardless, stay on unemployment as long as you need to. And then once you're done taking unemployment, start your 2.5 month clock, okay? Start that 2.5 month clock of taking your PPP. Remember, this is another question that I don't know if I'm getting it a lot, but one that I'm seeing a lot. If you got the correct PPP loan amount, right? If you got 2.5 months worth of payroll based on your 2019 line 31 of your Schedule C, and I'm talking to my sole props and my single member LLCs out there, as long as you got the correct loan amount based off the correct numbers, then if you use the 24-week period, you can get the full loan amount, that 2.5 months worth of pay forgiven as owner pay. Super easy. You don't have to worry about tracking all those other expenses. Okay, unless you got a loan bigger than that 2.5 months. And that did happen to people for numerous reasons. Some people got their loan based off their 18 return. Some people got their loan based off gross receipts instead of net income. There's so many different reasons why banks issued incorrect loan amounts. Doesn't matter now. The money is yours. You got to figure out how to spend it and maximize that forgiveness, okay? And step one is, if you are a sole proprietor, whether you have employees or not, I would say count that 2.5 months, take the 24-month period and use that 2.5 months of your pay based on your 19 return as forgivable payroll to yourself. Then if you have any money left over, okay, then pay your other employees with that. Then if you still have money left, pay those other expenses, the rent, the mortgage, the business rent, the business utilities, the business mortgage interest, the business debt interest, okay? So that is kind of the hierarchy I would put it in. And the reason is because there are benefits to taking that money as a sole prop payroll as opposed to an S Corp or a W-2. If you're a W-2 employee in your business, you fall into the category of employees for the most part, okay? And if you want more information on that, on the PPP loans, go back and watch, I think, last week's video and some of the other videos. Also, Jamie Troll is on, who's in this group, amazing. I've already talked about her. She has a YouTube channel and she has so many great videos out there. Just Jamie Troll. I think it's Jamie Troll. I think it's just Jamie Troll. If you're still on here, let me know if I'm wrong. It might be Balance CFO. I can't remember. Search Jamie and you'll find her. So bottom line, can you be on PUA and get your PPP forgiven? If you do it right, if you take the 24 weeks and you take unemployment until you don't need it, and then you take your PPP for 2.5 months, which is like 10 weeks, right? and you have 24 weeks. Just make sure you do technically spend it by the time your 24 weeks is up. So the next question, can I still apply for an EIDL or PPP loan? Yeah, you can. Guys, PPP loans are only being given through June 30th per the CARES Act and per all the guidance, right? If they don't give out all the money, what are they going to do? I don't know, but the guidance says, the CARES Act says, PPP loans will be given out through June 30th. If you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, wait, what's a PPP? Or yes, I want this, whatever, and you don't already have a lender, try PayPal or Bluevine. I believe they're both still lending out money, and both I've heard are giving turnaround times like really fast. Just make sure you get your application in by June 30th, okay? And I would actually get it in, if you're watching this live now, today, Friday the 26th, go do your application when this is over. Okay, do it now. Give those banks a few days, because it's only 2 more business days. And then the EIDL, you guys, the EIDL, the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL, some people are calling it EIDL. This loan program existed before COVID, okay? And I anticipate it's going to be around long afterwards. They did modify it for COVID, and they set some limitations. But I think last I read, you can apply for EIDL assistance through December 31st of 2020. So you're good there. Either one of these guys, even if maybe you're sitting there right now thinking, you know what, I'm fine, I can make it, I can do it. You know, we're back up and running and we're good and I survived it. Ask yourself if you're okay if we hit another downslide, and whether it's COVID related or not. But you guys, I mean, this year has been insane. Don't discard the fact that some craziness might still happen. We're only halfway through the year. So don't discard the fact that something crazy could happen again. And if something does, and your economy, your business has to shut down or take it back a notch, will you still survive? If the answer is, I don't know, we're not sure, maybe you need to look into an EIDL or a PPP loan. Remember, PPP loans, though, June 30th. All right, what can I use the EIDL for? I keep getting these questions, all right? And I know we've talked about this, but we're gonna go over it anyway. Similar questions to what can I use the EIDL for? All right, I get, can I pay my income taxes with EIDL? Can I pay my home rent, my mortgage, my utilities, etc. with EIDL? Can I pay off my credit card? Can I pay off my car? All right, so before we dig into each one of those, and I kind of will, let's talk about what the SBA actually defines as allowable and unallowable. So allowable expenses per the SBA says fixed debts. Okay, fixed debts, that means rent, right? Money you owe to other people. Rent, business utilities, right? Payroll, accounts payable, or any sort of bills that could have otherwise been paid had the disaster not occurred. So basically, you guys, your normal operating expenses, totally fine to spend your EIDL money on, all right? Your normal operating expenses. Okay, so for me, that's going to be my payroll, that's going to be my rent, that's going to be my IT, right? It's going to be my software, all of the online applications that I use to run my firm. All of those payments are going to be covered. My dues, you know, I have CP, I am a part of multiple associations. Those are all just part of me running my business, right? Part of what gives me my accreditation to do what I do. All right, so those dues are good. Those are covered. All the things, all normal operating expenses. Okay, specifically disallowed. Dividends and bonuses, disbursements to owners, unless for performance of services. I'm going to circle back around to this one, okay? Repayment of stockholder principal loans. That means loans you gave to the business, okay? The business cannot repay you for those using EIDL loans. Expansion of facilities, meaning you can't open in another location using EIDL loans. Acquisition of fixed assets. Fixed assets are, generically speaking, a fixed asset is something over $2,500 that is used as like equipment in your business. All right. So think of a vehicle, maybe I'm trying to think, maybe a big copier, a big printer, equipment. If you're in a manufacturing, right, a big piece of equipment, you know, those things can cost $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. Okay, those are physical fixed assets. Those cannot be bought using EIDL loans, EIDL funds. Refinancing of long-term debt. Okay, so that answers the question of, can I pay off my car? No. because that would be a refinance of your long-term debt. And relocation, I don't know, that's just thrown in there. Let me circle back around real quick to the disbursement to owners unless for performance of services. Okay, so disallowed, what this means is disbursements, distributions, dividends, whatever you want to call it, if your business is a corporation or an S Corp, not allowed. EIDL funds cannot be used to pay corporate officers a disbursement, a distribution, or a dividend. It can be used to pay your payroll as a W-2 employee in your corporation. Okay, that is the only way you can use EIDL funds to pay you as an owner of a business. Okay, but I will circle back around to that as well. Just a generalization of should you use it to pay yourself. So let's talk about partners. Guaranteed payments are the way partnerships pay partners for what they do in the business. So yes, that is allowed. But again, not draws, not disbursements, not distributions. Also allowed, again, I think, because again, there's no specific guidance, but a disbursement to a Schedule C sole prop or LLC. So if you file a Schedule C, your business is a Schedule C, and your Schedule C business took out the EIDL, and you want to pay yourself for services rendered, sure, you can. Let me start by saying keep it reasonable if you do, which means I would suggest that you look at line 31 of your 2019 Schedule C, divide that number by 12, and limit your monthly payments from EIDL funds to yourself to this amount. Okay, because again, it comes back to documentation. And if you can document why you picked that number to pay yourself, then I think the EIDL or the SBA will be like, yeah, that makes sense. That said, and Jamie, I don't think is on here anymore, but she'd be very proud of me for talking about this because I got this directly from her, you guys. We don't advise that you use the EIDL to pay yourself if you don't have to. Okay, use it as an absolute last resort because you guys, when you're using the EIDL funds to pay yourself, and this is whether you're an S Corp, a C Corp, a W-2 employee or a sole proprietor or a partnership, if you're using EIDL funds to pay yourself, okay, you're financing your paycheck. Okay, again, thank you, Jamie Troll, for this little tagline. You're financing your paycheck. All right, you are taking out debt to give yourself money. Okay, which means you're paying interest on your pay. So here's kind of the hierarchy that we're kind of suggesting you go through. Okay, first, if you can, take PUA. Okay, take unemployment. That's your first line of your first resource for payment to your personal self. Okay, go try to get on unemployment. If unemployment isn't cutting it, right? Maybe it's not paying enough, or you're not making it. You're not making enough, or none at all. Then look at how to utilize your PPP funds. Okay. Utilize those PPP funds to pay yourself. Because again, if you use EIDL funds, you're financing it. And if you actually, I'm going to put the EIDL tracker link in here. Go get the EIDL tracker. Again, big shout out to Jamie, who basically built this bad boy. But throw the numbers in there and just see how much interest you'd be paying if you use EIDL funds to pay yourself. And then decide if that's worth it to you, okay? Because I get that some of us, you're going to get to the position where it's like, okay, I need to use the EIDL funds to pay myself, or I'm going to, default on my mortgage or default on my car loan or whatever it is. So I get that for some people, you have to. But just make sure you're looking at everything before you make that decision. So back to those original questions that I said fall under what can I use the EIDL for? Can I pay my income tax with the EIDL? Can I pay my home rent, mortgage, utilities, etc. with EIDL? So those two things, what I would say is paying those two things falls under paying yourself, okay? Because income taxes are not a business expense. They flow through to you as a personal expense. All right, same with your home rent, your mortgage, your utilities, etc. I understand a lot of you take a home office, and so that's fair. You can take a portion of that, but just remember, essentially what you need to do is take the EIDL money, pay yourself, a reasonable amount, and then use it to pay your income taxes or pay your home rent, mortgage, utilities, etc. Keeping in mind, again, that you're financing your paycheck. So what I would suggest is that you use the EIDL funds to actually pay your operating expenses, because we know operating expenses are covered. Okay, we know that the SBA is not going to fight us if we paid normal operating expenses. So on your tracker, let's say you got $10,000 for your EIDL loan. Okay, so on your EIDL tracker, you have that $10 and just tick away at that money with normal operating expenses. Now, as you pay your normal operating expenses out of your EIDL funds, maybe you're still making money, maybe you have some savings, maybe whatever, but you have this other bucket of money. Well, if you're using your EIDL funds to pay these operating expenses that will be acceptable, and it frees up your cash flow to then pay yourself more, basically to pay yourself more, then do that, okay? But on your tracker, let's try and keep it to normal operating expenses, all right? Keeping in mind that there isn't a time frame necessarily on this, right? There's no 8-week period like there is for the PPP or, 24. There's no technical, it just has to be used for expenses that you couldn't pay because of COVID, all right? Brings me to, can I pay my credit card? You need to think of your credit card not as like, hey, I'm paying $2,000 for my credit card. What you need to do is think about your credit card as the itemized expenses within your business that it is, okay? So what I would say is look at your credit card statement, and let's say, you have $6,000 on your credit card that goes back to February, right? Because it's been since February that you could pay more than your minimum payment. What you need to do then is take all of those items off of your credit card statement and enter them line by line into your EIDL tracker, okay? Because the SBA, if they come back and audit you and look at you, they don't want to see you paid off a credit card. That doesn't matter to them. They want to see what you used that credit card to originally pay for. And you're going to save yourself some headaches at the end by just putting them in now. So if you're using EIDL funds to pay off a credit card, go in. If you paid $7,000 on your credit card, go export the last $7,000 worth of credit card expenses. Hope that it only goes back to like February when the whole COVID thing started, okay? Because if you try to pay expenses that go back farther than that, that's a no-go as well, okay? Because again, that's paying off long-term debt. It's supposed to be used for operating expenses during the emergency. And then the last one, can I pay off my car? No, because again, that's consolidating debt, and we can't do that. All right, so that's that. Those were the big questions I got this week. And so yeah, I will see you guys on Monday. Have a great first weekend of the summer.